Buckle up, because we're diving into the wild world of the automotive industry's biggest blunders. These 12 cars have earned their place in history as some of the ugliest, worst-performing vehicles that only the tightest budgets could justify. With bizarre designs, underwhelming engines, and a reputation for cutting corners, these rides turned heads. But not for the reasons their creators intended. You won't believe these cars actually existed. (1941) Chrysler Royal, an examination of key weaknesses. The 1941 Chrysler Royal was designed to offer American families a reliable, comfortable vehicle at a reasonable price. While the Royal had a reputation for solid engineering and was viewed as a respectable family car in its era, it also suffered from several weaknesses that limited its broader appeal and ultimately hindered its reputation as a balanced performer. This analysis covers the challenges that the Chrysler Royal faced, particularly its weight, poor fuel efficiency, cumbersome handling due to its size, and struggles with suspension performance on rougher roads. One of the most notable weaknesses of the 1941 Chrysler Royal was its hefty weight. Built on a large frame and incorporating substantial materials, the Royal was a heavy vehicle, even by the standards of the time. While this weight contributed to a sturdy feel, it created significant drawbacks when it came to performance. The vehicle's bulkiness made it slower to accelerate, which reduced its appeal to those seeking a livelier driving experience. The Chrysler Royal's heavy build, though enhancing durability, ultimately detracted from its maneuverability, particularly in urban settings where lighter and more agile vehicles were better suited. As families began prioritizing both practicality and a more responsive driving experience, the Royal's bulkiness became a limiting factor. The poor fuel efficiency of the Chrysler Royal was another significant downside. Its large size and weight necessitated a powerful engine, which consumed more fuel than many of its competitors. In an era when fuel efficiency was becoming increasingly important to cost-conscious consumers, the Royal's thirst for gasoline put it at a disadvantage. The vehicle's design prioritized durability and size, but this came at the expense of mileage, a factor that would have long-term implications for owners concerned about operational costs. As fuel costs became a greater concern, especially during the post-war years, vehicles with lower consumption were more attractive to a broad range of buyers. The Royal's appetite for fuel thus positioned it poorly against competitors that offered better efficiency. Another issue that affected the Royal was its size and associated handling challenges. The Chrysler Royal was a large vehicle which provided ample interior space for passengers and luggage, appealing to families and travelers. However, this size also made it difficult to handle, especially for drivers used to smaller, more maneuverable cars. Tight turns, parking, and urban driving were more challenging due to the Royal's extended wheelbase and overall bulk. This unwieldiness reduced its appeal for daily commuting or city driving, and it could feel daunting on narrow roads or when navigating busy intersections. The Royal's handling limitations were compounded by its weight, which affected both control and stability, particularly at higher speeds. The suspension system of the Chrysler Royal also struggled to manage the weight of the car, especially when navigating rougher road surfaces. While adequate for smoother, well-maintained roads, the suspension was known to perform poorly on uneven or gravel roads, which were still common in many areas at the time. Passengers could experience a jarring ride on rough terrain, as the suspension was unable to fully absorb the shocks from bumps and dips in the road. This lack of suspension refinement detracted from the overall ride quality, leading to a less comfortable experience for drivers and passengers alike. For a car that was intended to provide a comfortable journey for families, this was a significant drawback, particularly for those living in rural areas or regions with poorly maintained roads. Beyond these key weaknesses, the 1941 Chrysler Royal also faced the challenge of an evolving automotive landscape. While the Royal's solid construction and traditional design were appreciated by some, the automotive industry was rapidly advancing, and consumers were becoming more discerning in their expectations. Features that were cutting edge a decade prior were quickly becoming outdated as competitors introduced more efficient engines, lighter bodies, and improved ride comfort. Chrysler's reliance on a tried-and-true design for the Royal was both a strength and a weakness, as it resonated with brand loyalists but failed to capture new customers seeking innovation and modern conveniences. The Royal's limitations became more apparent as Chrysler's competitors introduced vehicles with better power-to-weight ratios, improved handling, and enhanced suspension systems. In summary, the 1941 Chrysler Royal exemplifies a vehicle that, while sturdy and respectable, failed to keep pace with evolving consumer demands. Its excessive weight, poor fuel economy, size-related handling challenges. The 1942 Chevrolet Fleetline was part of Chevrolet's attempt to offer an affordable, stylish sedan during a transformative era for the automotive industry. It featured a sleek, fastback design that distinguished it aesthetically from more traditional vehicles of its time. However, the Fleetline also came with several inherent weaknesses that ultimately limited its appeal, especially as consumers began seeking more modern and efficient designs. This exploration of the Fleetline's shortcomings examines its basic performance, limited engine power, outdated technology, subpar interior quality, and awkward handling characteristics. One of the most pressing issues with the Chevrolet Fleetline was its basic performance and limited engine capabilities. Equipped with a modest inline-six engine, the Fleetline did not provide the level of power that drivers were beginning to expect in their vehicles. The engine was functional for daily commuting and short trips, but it lacked the vigor to compete with more powerful models. Acceleration was sluggish, which detracted from the driving experience, especially at a time when improved performance was becoming a more prominent factor in car purchasing decisions. Drivers looking for a vehicle with lively acceleration and a more robust powertrain were often left disappointed by the Fleetline's restrained capabilities, which made it less appealing to those interested in performance-oriented options. The outdated technology of the 1942 Fleetline was another significant drawback. By the early 1940s, car manufacturers were beginning to experiment with and implement technological advancements that enhanced both safety and comfort. However, the Fleetline remained rooted in older technology, which impacted its competitive edge. Key areas where the Fleetline showed its technological age included its braking system and overall drivetrain design. The car did not incorporate advanced braking mechanisms, resulting in longer stopping distances and reduced reliability in emergency situations. As technology continued to improve post-war, vehicles like the Fleetline, with limited innovations, appeared even more outdated and less appealing to a customer base eager for modern improvements. Another area of concern was the interior quality of the Fleetline. Chevrolet's decision to prioritize affordability meant that the Fleetline's interior materials were less refined than those found in more premium models. Basic materials like vinyl and plastic were used, and they did not age well, leading to quick wear and tear over time. The design of the dashboard and seating was also quite minimalistic, lacking any special features or comforts that might attract buyers seeking a bit more luxury or style. The Fleetline's interior comfort was serviceable, but didn't offer anything particularly memorable or advanced, which could leave occupants feeling as though they were sacrificing comfort for the sake of affordability. In an era where post-war consumers would soon expect higher standards in design and comfort, the Fleetline's bare-bones interior quickly became a noticeable drawback. Handling was another area where the Chevrolet Fleetline faced criticism. The car's size and weight, combined with a fairly rudimentary suspension system, made the Fleetline somewhat cumbersome to drive. The steering lacked precision, making it difficult to maneuver on narrow streets or winding roads. At higher speeds, the Fleetline's handling deficiencies became more apparent, with a tendency for body roll and a less stable feel overall. Additionally, the Fleetline's suspension struggled to effectively absorb bumps on rougher roads, resulting in a less comfortable ride. This limitation in handling and ride quality was a disappointment for drivers who desired both comfort and control, especially on long trips or when driving on less than ideal road conditions. Despite these weaknesses, the Chevrolet Fleetline held certain aesthetic and historical appeal due to its streamlined fastback design, which distinguished it visually from many of its contemporaries. The Fleetline's appearance was stylish and resonated with some buyers who valued its distinctive profile and Chevrolet's reputation for reliability. However, for those prioritizing more robust performance, modern technology, and improved interior comfort, the Fleetline's shortcomings made it less attractive as a long-term option. In conclusion, the 1942 Chevrolet Fleetline serves as an example of a car that was designed to fit a particular market niche, but struggled to keep pace with evolving standards. The 1940 Pontiac Torpedo was designed to bring a touch of style and accessibility to the automotive market, standing out for its streamlined bodywork and respectable size. As part of Pontiac's broader lineup in the pre-war years, the Torpedo was intended to combine a somewhat upscale feel with accessibility for the average driver. However, beneath its aesthetic appeal, the Torpedo had a number of limitations that impacted its overall performance and safety, which became apparent as automotive standards began to evolve rapidly during the following decades. This overview of the Torpedo's weaknesses highlights its underpowered engine, limited safety features, basic braking, and outdated suspension. One of the primary drawbacks of the 1940 Pontiac Torpedo was its lack of power relative to its weight. The Torpedo was equipped with an inline-6 or, optionally, an inline-8 engine, both of which provided modest power. However, for a car of its substantial size and weight, these engines didn't deliver the level of performance that drivers might have expected. Acceleration was modest, and the car lacked the torque needed to give it a responsive or lively driving experience, especially compared to some lighter, nimbler models on the road. The lack of power became particularly evident during highway driving or when trying to overtake other vehicles, where the Torpedo's limited acceleration could feel sluggish. This left the Torpedo underwhelming to many drivers who, while appreciating its stylish appearance, were disappointed by the car's inability to back it up with a comparable level of power. The limited safety features of the Pontiac Torpedo also became a concern as consumer awareness about automotive safety began to grow in the mid-century years. The Torpedo's design, which predated the push for safety innovations, lacked even the most rudimentary safety measures by today's standards. Seatbelts were not standard, and the car did not include safety glass or reinforced panels that would have helped protect passengers in the event of a collision. This meant that while the car was certainly stylish and appealing, it didn't provide occupants with much protection. Additionally, the large, solid bodywork and relatively basic structural design contributed to a somewhat unforgiving passenger environment during sudden stops or crashes, posing risks that drivers and passengers might not have initially realized. The basic braking system further compounded the safety limitations of the Torpedo. It used a hydraulic drum brake setup, which was common for the time but often required greater stopping distances and frequent maintenance. Over time, this braking system was prone to fade, especially on long drives where heat could accumulate and reduce braking effectiveness. This affected the driver's ability to stop quickly and reliably, especially in emergency situations. Furthermore, since the brakes required regular adjustments to maintain optimal performance, the lack of dependable braking could be a hazard for those who didn't keep up with maintenance or simply expected their car to perform consistently without the need for constant tinkering. Finally, the outdated suspension system of the Pontiac Torpedo resulted in a relatively bumpy and inconsistent ride. Built with a more basic suspension setup, the Torpedo struggled on rough or uneven roads, transferring much of the road's imperfections to the occupants. While the Torpedo might have handled smoother, well-paved roads reasonably well, its suspension was insufficient for maintaining comfort on gravel roads or older, unpaved routes. The car's large frame and weight added to this challenge, as the suspension had to work even harder to counterbalance the car's mass and maintain stability. This limited the appeal of the Torpedo for those looking for a comfortable ride on varied terrain, especially in rural areas where roads were often less maintained. In retrospect, the 1940 Pontiac Torpedo represented a particular era in automotive design, when style and affordability often took precedence over performance and safety. Its design resonated with some buyers who valued its distinctive, aerodynamic appearance, which was a departure from the more utilitarian cars of the previous decade. However, for those seeking a car that could perform reliably and comfortably under a variety of conditions, the Torpedo's weaknesses, namely its limited power, lack of safety features, basic braking, and outdated suspension quickly became apparent. Overall, while the Pontiac Torpedo holds a place in automotive history as a symbol of pre-war design, its limitations highlight the evolving expectations and technological advancements that would soon reshape the industry. For many drivers, the Torpedo served as a reminder of the importance of balancing form with function, an ideal that would become increasingly central to car design in the following decades. The 1942 Dodge Custom was introduced as a comfortable and solidly built car, aimed at offering a touch of style and spaciousness for families and professionals alike. Coming from Dodge's well-regarded lineup, the Custom was known for its distinctive, slightly streamlined design that reflected pre-war American styling. However, despite its appeal, the Dodge Custom faced several significant performance issues that would come to limit its long-term popularity and practicality, especially as car standards began to shift with the rapid post-war advancements in automotive design. Key weaknesses included its heavy build, underpowered engine, high fuel consumption, and lackluster handling, especially in city environments. A notable shortcoming of the Dodge Custom was its substantial weight, which made it feel lumbering on the road. Built with a focus on durability and strength, the car's steel-heavy frame contributed to its weight, which, while providing some stability on straight roads, compromised agility and response. This weight had a dual effect on the car's performance. Not only did it require more power to propel the vehicle, but it also put a strain on the existing engine, which was not designed with the same robust horsepower that would later become standard for cars of its size. As a result, the Custom felt sluggish, particularly when accelerating from a stop or attempting to reach higher speeds on the highway. Drivers expecting more responsiveness often found the Custom to be disappointingly slow, especially compared to lighter models that were beginning to gain popularity for their nimble handling. The engine itself was underwhelming for the car's size and weight. Dodge had equipped the Custom with a flathead inline-six engine, which, while reliable, simply didn't have the power output needed to overcome the car's bulk. The result was a car that took longer than average to reach its top speed, and even then, it wasn't particularly impressive in performance. This was especially noticeable on inclines or when carrying multiple passengers, as the engine struggled to maintain speed under a heavy load. For buyers seeking a sense of power or excitement behind the wheel, the Custom's performance fell short of expectations, often making it feel more like a utility vehicle than a refined personal car. Fuel efficiency was another area where the Dodge Custom struggled. Given its large size, heavy construction, and underpowered engine, the Custom consumed fuel at a rate that would later be considered excessive, particularly in the post-war era when fuel economy started to become a more valued feature among car buyers. While gas prices were relatively low at the time, the Custom's thirst for fuel meant that its operating costs could quickly add up, which was particularly disadvantageous for long-distance driving. This issue became even more pronounced during World War II and the early post-war years, when resource conservation and efficiency began to influence car designs and consumer preferences. In terms of handling, the Dodge Custom was not particularly responsive, especially in urban settings where maneuverability was crucial. The car's suspension system, designed to be sturdy and accommodate rougher rural roads, did not fare as well on crowded city streets, where more precise steering and faster response were needed. The Custom's large turning radius and hefty weight made it cumbersome to navigate in tighter spaces, such as parking lots or narrow city streets. Additionally, the steering system, which was relatively stiff by modern standards, required a fair amount of effort from the driver, further reducing its practicality for urban commuting or frequent maneuvering. Lastly, the design of the Dodge Custom, while elegant in its way, was considered somewhat conservative and bulky compared to emerging trends that favored sleeker, more aerodynamic vehicles. The car's styling did not stand out enough to attract buyers who wanted a more cutting-edge look, which could have offset some of its performance drawbacks. As automotive design rapidly evolved during the post-war period, the Dodge Custom quickly began to look outdated and less appealing compared to newer models that combined both form and function in more advanced ways. In summary, the 1942 Dodge Custom was a product of its time, reflecting the pre-war emphasis on durability, straightforward design, and functionality. While it may have appealed to a subset of drivers who valued stability and comfort over speed, The Custom's significant weaknesses, its weight, sluggish engine, high fuel consumption, and poor handling, ultimately limited its appeal as automotive expectations evolved. The Dodge Custom serves as a historical reminder of how dramatically automotive design shifted in the 1940s, pushing manufacturers to prioritize performance, efficiency, and maneuverability in ways that the Custom could not meet. The 1941 Ford Super Deluxe was an important release for Ford, intended to offer an affordable yet stylish option during a time of significant change and uncertainty due to the looming impact of World War II. Designed with aesthetic appeal and accessibility in mind, the Super Deluxe series aimed to capture the attention of middle-class Americans seeking a dependable, family-friendly vehicle. However, while it found success among consumers who appreciated its straightforward, attractive design, the Super Deluxe ultimately suffered from several weaknesses, particularly in its performance, durability, and passenger comfort. One of the main limitations of the 1941 Ford Super Deluxe was its modest engine power. Ford equipped the car with a flathead V8 engine, which was respectable for the time but relatively low-powered by later standards, particularly as the car's weight and expectations of horsepower grew. The engine delivered around 90 horsepower, which was adequate for daily driving but underwhelming when acceleration or high speeds were required. For drivers accustomed to Ford's reputation for reliable power, the Super Deluxe fell somewhat short in terms of performance. While its V8 engine was designed to be easy to maintain and durable, its relatively low power output limited the vehicle's versatility on highways or when carrying multiple passengers, which could further strain the engine's modest capabilities. Passenger comfort in the Super Deluxe was also limited. Due to wartime shortages and the need for resource conservation, Ford had to make compromises on interior materials, using basic upholstery and minimal insulation. This made the interior less comfortable, particularly for longer drives where vibrations and road noise became more noticeable. The seating, while sufficient for short trips, lacked the plushness and support that other later models would come to prioritize, leading to a less comfortable experience for passengers over extended drives. In cold or hot weather, the car's limited heating and ventilation systems further underscored its lack of refinement in passenger comfort, a factor that would eventually grow in importance as the post-war car market developed a stronger focus on luxury and comfort. Another drawback was the durability of the materials used in the Super Deluxe's construction. In 1941, as the U.S. prepared for wartime manufacturing needs, higher-grade metals and materials were being redirected to support the war effort. As a result, Ford, like many automakers of the time, had to rely on more basic materials for its vehicles. The Super Deluxe's body panels, for instance, were prone to rust, especially in humid or snowy climates. Paint quality was not as durable as in later models, leading to quicker wear and tear that required frequent touch-ups to maintain the car's appearance. This issue extended to the car's chrome trim, which was more prone to dulling or tarnishing, and made the Super Deluxe less durable over time compared to later post-war vehicles that benefited from improved materials and manufacturing processes. The handling of the Ford Super Deluxe was relatively straightforward, but lacked the refinement and responsiveness that became more common in post-war models. Built with a basic suspension system, the Super Deluxe was designed for relatively smooth, straight-line travel rather than nimble handling. This suspension, while sturdy, transmitted more of the road's vibrations and bumps to the interior than later advancements would allow, contributing to a somewhat rough ride for passengers. The basic suspension design also meant that maneuvering the car, especially on winding or uneven roads, could be a challenge. This was particularly noticeable in urban driving conditions, where the car's lack of agility made it feel less responsive than newer models equipped with improved steering and suspension systems. Despite these weaknesses, the Super Deluxe did have its strengths. It was an affordable vehicle for its time, and its classic, streamlined design appealed to many buyers who wanted a car that was visually appealing and didn't feel too utilitarian. Its V8 engine, though modest by modern standards, was seen as an attractive feature for consumers seeking a reliable and simple powertrain that could withstand regular use with minimal mechanical issues. In retrospect, the 1941 Ford Super Deluxe represented a transitional period in automotive history, bridging the gap between pre-war and post-war American car design. While its design and modest engine power held appeal at the time, the Super Deluxe's limitations in durability, comfort, and handling ultimately prevented it from achieving lasting acclaim. The 1942 Buick Special was intended as a mid-range, practical choice within Buick's lineup, delivering a combination of style, size, and luxury that appealed to the American middle class. However, the Special faced a set of challenges that hampered its long-term appeal, particularly due to issues with weight, fuel efficiency, and mechanical reliability. As a result, while the car had a striking design and notable comfort for the era, it struggled to establish itself as a reliable and efficient choice. One of the primary weaknesses of the 1942 Buick Special was its heavy frame and overall bulk. Built with an extensive use of steel to provide a solid and secure cabin, the Special tipped the scales at a weight that made it feel slow and cumbersome. Despite its robust straight-eight engine, the car's size and weight limited its acceleration and top speed. Handling suffered as well, with drivers experiencing less control on sharp turns or uneven roads due to the mass of the car, which taxed the suspension and steering systems beyond what they were ideally equipped to handle. In everyday driving conditions, the car's bulk could also make parking and maneuvering in urban environments more challenging. The Buick Special's heavy frame also contributed to its poor fuel efficiency. In an era where fuel economy was less of a concern, this might have gone overlooked. But by the time the Special was on the road, resource shortages due to the war had raised awareness of gasoline consumption. Its 8-cylinder engine, while powerful, guzzled fuel at a rate that made the car expensive to operate. And this factor was particularly noticeable on long trips or in heavy traffic. Given the limited fuel availability during wartime, the Special's high fuel consumption became an issue for drivers who wanted an economical vehicle and found themselves paying more for gas at a time when fuel efficiency was becoming more critical. The amechanical reliability of the 1942 Buick Special was another major weakness. Buick had equipped the Special with a straightforward inline-8 engine, but it was prone to frequent maintenance needs that required attention and repairs more often than other engines of the time. Mechanical issues with the timing chain, carburetor, and cooling system were common. The engine's higher cylinder count contributed to its complexity, requiring skilled maintenance that not every local mechanic was fully prepared to handle. Furthermore, the electrical system in the Special was also known to suffer from reliability issues. Given that electrical systems were still evolving, Buick faced challenges in keeping the wiring, ignition, and lighting systems up to the standards expected by consumers, who often reported problems with battery drainage, faulty headlights, and issues with starter reliability, especially in cold weather. Despite these challenges, the Buick Special did have redeeming qualities. Its design was bold and classic, embodying the streamlined style of the early 1940s with a long hood, sweeping fenders, and a chrome-heavy grille that gave it a distinguished, luxurious look. Inside, the car offered a spacious and comfortable cabin that felt upscale compared to more basic models, featuring cushioned seating and elegant trim that appealed to drivers who prioritized comfort. Buick had a reputation for building quality interiors, and even though the materials may not have been the most resilient, the interior comfort and spaciousness made it a popular choice for families looking for a car that provided a more sophisticated driving experience. The 1942 Buick Special serves as a reminder of the challenges faced by automakers during this transitional period. Though stylish and spacious, the car's weaknesses in weight, fuel efficiency, and reliability issues, particularly with its engine and electrical components, limited its popularity and prevented it from achieving the enduring status of some of its contemporaries. The Special's story encapsulates a time when the automotive industry was evolving, and while Buick's attempt to offer a sturdy, upscale vehicle had its merits, it also highlighted the need for increased efficiency and durability in the post-war market. The 1941 Studebaker Commander was an ambitious model from Studebaker that aimed to appeal to a wide audience with its attractive design, spacious interior, and a reasonably powerful 6-cylinder engine. However, despite these appealing qualities, the Commander struggled with some significant weaknesses, particularly in reliability, handling, and performance. These issues hindered its ability to compete with other more dependable models in the market and impacted its reputation as a solid choice for a mid-range family car. A central drawback of the 1941 Studebaker Commander was its notorious reliability issues, especially with the transmission. Studebaker offered a semi-automatic transmission known as the Vacuumatic, which was intended to simplify driving by reducing the need to fully engage the clutch for every shift. Unfortunately, this technology was relatively new and proved to be quite finicky, leading to frequent malfunctions. The Vacuumatic transmission became known for abrupt shifts, slipping gears, and requiring constant adjustments, often leaving drivers frustrated with a car that didn't feel as smooth or refined as its competitors. Repairs to this transmission were costly and complex, especially for owners in rural areas where skilled mechanics familiar with Studebaker's unique system were harder to find. Additionally, this reliability issue became especially apparent on longer trips, where the strain on the transmission could lead to unexpected breakdowns, further compromising its appeal to families seeking a dependable vehicle. The Commander's amber handling and acceleration also fell short, especially for a car of its size. Built with a large frame to offer generous cabin space, the Commander carried substantial weight that its six-cylinder engine struggled to power effectively. Although the Commander's engine was somewhat robust in terms of raw power, its acceleration was slow by even the standards of the day, making it feel sluggish during city driving and frustrating to operate on highways. This underwhelming performance was further compounded by the basic suspension and steering systems that didn't manage the car's weight well, causing body roll in turns and reducing stability at higher speeds. For drivers accustomed to more agile models from competitors, the Commander's handling felt rudimentary and was ill-suited for dynamic driving, particularly when navigating winding or uneven roads. Studebaker also aimed to offer the Sopry's Commander as a value-oriented, practical choice. Yet its overall lack of advanced safety features and its somewhat basic interior left it feeling outdated compared to some rivals. While the spacious interior was certainly a plus, Studebaker didn't include the level of comfort or refinement found in some other mid-range models, and the materials used in the cabin were known to wear down rather quickly, particularly under regular, everyday use. Upholstery tended to fade and fray, and the dashboard materials were prone to cracking in extreme temperatures. In this respect, the Commander struggled to establish itself as a high-quality choice for discerning buyers looking for a long-term family vehicle. That said, the Meteor 1941 Studebaker Commander was not without its strengths. Its design was stylish and modern for the era, with clean lines and an elegant chrome grille that made it stand out on the road. Studebaker was known for its distinctive approach to car aesthetics, and the Commander followed this tradition with a streamlined appearance that reflected an effort to provide consumers with a stylish yet practical option. Inside, while not as luxurious as high-end models, the Commander's interior offered ample seating space, which made it comfortable for families and suited for long-distance drives, despite the mechanical concerns. In summary, the Oshana 1941 Studebaker Commander presented an interesting mix of design appeal and ambition, yet was significantly held back by its reliability issues, particularly with the transmission, as well as its basic handling and underwhelming performance. For many buyers, the car's struggles with durability and the frequent need for repairs offset its aesthetic appeal and spaciousness. The Commander's story serves as a testament to Studebaker's commitment to innovation, but it also highlights the difficulties faced by independent automakers when competing against larger, more resourceful brands with more refined engineering practices. The 1942 Mercury 8 Convertible was introduced with the aim of delivering a sleek, sporty look combined with the charm of open-top driving. As a symbol of pre-war Americana, it embodied the elegance and carefree spirit of the time, providing a stylish vehicle that looked great on weekend cruises and was especially appealing to younger drivers and families who enjoyed leisurely drives along the coast or through the countryside. However, despite its impressive exterior design and the appeal of its convertible format, the 1942 Mercury 8 Convertible faced several significant drawbacks that limited its success. Performance, handling, and mechanical issues, especially with the convertible top, proved problematic for owners, and these issues prevented the model from achieving the enduring legacy of some of its contemporaries. One of the primary weaknesses of the 1942 Mercury 8 convertible was its lackluster performance. Although the car was powered by a flathead V8 engine, which was considered relatively powerful at the time, the car's size and weight offset much of the engine's potential, leaving the 8 convertible with unimpressive acceleration and limited top speeds. The engine, while dependable for regular city driving, didn't deliver the robust performance that drivers expected from a vehicle with sporty styling. This discrepancy between its design and performance disappointed enthusiasts seeking more dynamic driving experiences. In addition, while the V8 provided a solid rumble that added to the car's allure, it didn't translate to the speed and agility many desired, especially when compared to lighter, more nimble models from competing brands. The yacht convertible top mechanism was another major source of frustration for owners. Although convertibles were, and still are, widely admired for the driving experience they offer, the technology for retractable roofs in the early 1940s was far from refined. The mechanism on the Mercury 8 convertible was often prone to jams, tears, and even partial collapses after extended use. Additionally, the materials used for the top were not as durable as modern convertible tops, making them vulnerable to weather damage, fading, and wear. Owners frequently reported that the top would struggle to retract or re-engage properly, which sometimes left drivers stranded with either a partially open or stuck roof. Repairing this mechanism was both costly and inconvenient, as few mechanics were specialized in convertible top repair at the time, making such a feature more of a liability than a luxury in the long run. Handling was another notable weakness. The 8 convertible's weight distribution, coupled with its basic suspension setup, made it feel cumbersome to maneuver, particularly on winding or narrow roads. While straight-line cruising was fairly comfortable, the car's weight led to noticeable body roll in turns, and the steering felt somewhat vague, making it challenging for drivers to accurately navigate corners or react swiftly in traffic. In an era where handling refinement was still developing, the Mercury 8 convertible's lack of agility was an unfortunate drawback for those expecting a responsive, sporty ride. For a vehicle that aimed to evoke a sense of adventure and freedom, this limitation in handling took away from the driving experience. Though it struggled with performance, the main 1942 Mercury 8 convertible did have aesthetic strengths. Its sleek design featured clean lines, a distinctive grille, and prominent chrome accents that gave it a refined, upscale appearance. The convertible format provided a sense of openness and freedom that many appreciated, especially as car culture began to take off in the United States. The 8 convertible also had a spacious and comfortable interior, which made it appealing to families who wanted both style and space. Yet, despite these positives, the car's lack of advanced safety features, such as improved braking systems and more robust suspension, left it behind other vehicles of the era, particularly as expectations for safety began to rise. In summary, the 1942 Mercury 8 convertible remains a visually striking vehicle that captures the spirit of pre-war American design, but falls short in several key areas. Performance and handling were not able to live up to its sporty appearance, and the convertible top mechanism proved troublesome for many owners. Although it found some favor among those who valued style and open-top driving, the 8 convertible's reputation was marred by its lack of power, agility, and the inconvenience associated with the convertible top's maintenance. For these reasons, the 1942 Mercury 8 convertible remains a reminder of an era when car designs were often ahead of their engineering capabilities, offering beauty and style, but sometimes lacking the performance and reliability needed to make a lasting impact. The 1940 Cadillac Series 75 stands as a hallmark of pre-war American luxury, embodying the grandeur and opulence associated with Cadillac's reputation during that era. Designed for those who sought the utmost in comfort and style, the Series 75 was not just a car, it was a statement of wealth and prestige. However, despite its luxurious appointments and impressive styling, the Series 75 faced several significant challenges that ultimately hindered its practicality and user-friendliness, making it a less favorable choice for many potential buyers. One of the primary weaknesses of the yacht 1940 Cadillac Series 75 was its size and weight. As one of the largest cars produced by Cadillac, it boasted an imposing presence with a lengthy wheelbase and a spacious interior that could comfortably accommodate multiple passengers. However, this size came at a cost. The vehicle's significant weight made it cumbersome to maneuver, particularly in urban environments or on winding roads. Drivers often found the Series 75 difficult to handle, especially when navigating tight turns or parking in cramped spaces. The sheer bulk of the car translated to a sluggish response, and while it offered a smooth ride on highways, it lacked the agility that many drivers desired in a luxury vehicle. In addition to its handling difficulties, the Schumacher's maintenance requirements for the Cadillac Series 75 were another notable drawback. As a luxury car, it came equipped with numerous advanced features and high-quality materials that contributed to its appeal. However, these same features also meant that the vehicle required constant upkeep to ensure everything operated smoothly. Owners faced high maintenance costs, with frequent servicing needed to address issues related to its complex engine, sophisticated hydraulic systems, and elegant upholstery. The cost of replacement parts and the expertise required for repairs further added to the financial burden, making the Series 75 less practical for the average consumer who might not be prepared for such expenses. Moreover, the luxury features that set the Series 75 apart also contributed to its high maintenance costs. Items like leather interiors, power windows, and advanced heating systems for the time, while impressive, often required specialized care and repair. Owners quickly learned that the aesthetic appeal of their vehicle came with the necessity of frequent visits to mechanics who specialized in luxury automobiles. The costs associated with maintaining such features detracted from the overall ownership experience, leading to frustrations among owners who expected a more reliable vehicle for the price they paid. Another aspect of the 1940 Cadillac Series 75 that hindered its practicality was its fuel economy. Given the size of the vehicle and the power demands of its V8 engine, the Series 75 was not designed for efficiency. During an era when fuel economy was becoming a consideration for more consumers, the Cadillac's thirst for gasoline was a point of contention. Many buyers found themselves grappling with the reality that the luxurious drive came at the expense of their wallets, especially as fuel prices fluctuated during the war years. Furthermore, while the Series 75 was undeniably stylish and a testament to Cadillac's commitment to elegance, its sheer size often overshadowed this aesthetic appeal. Although it featured classic design elements, such as a prominent grille, sweeping lines, and ornate chrome detailing, these attributes sometimes struggled to compensate for the vehicle's handling issues and high maintenance demands. Buyers who initially sought the prestige associated with owning such a luxurious vehicle often found that the downsides of ownership dampened their enthusiasm. In conclusion, the 1940 Cadillac Series 75Ds epitomized the luxury and grandeur that Cadillac was known for, boasting a design that appealed to those desiring sophistication and style. However, its size and weight led to challenging handling, while high maintenance costs and fuel inefficiency detracted from the overall ownership experience. Although the Series 75 left a significant mark on automotive history and continues to be celebrated as a classic symbol of American luxury, the practical limitations associated with its grandeur ultimately made it a less accessible option for many consumers at the time. The car serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities that can arise when combining luxury with usability, and it highlights the balancing act that automakers must navigate when designing vehicles intended for high-end markets. The Mercury 1941 Plymouth P12 was part of Plymouth's mid-range offering during a time when American car manufacturers were competing for the attention of families and individuals seeking reliable transportation. Positioned as a practical sedan, the P12 aimed to blend affordability with functionality. However, despite its intentions, the vehicle presented several notable weaknesses that hindered its appeal and performance in a rapidly evolving automotive landscape. One of the primary drawbacks of the 1941 Plymouth P12 was its modest engine output. Equipped with a straight-six engine, the P12 provided sufficient power for everyday driving. However, it struggled to deliver the performance that many drivers craved. With limited horsepower, the P12 was considered slow, particularly when it came to acceleration. This sluggishness became a significant concern for drivers who found themselves in situations requiring quick bursts of speed, such as merging onto highways or navigating busy city streets. As a result, the P12's lackluster engine performance contributed to a driving experience that was often deemed uninspiring. In addition to its performance limitations, the interior of the P12 was basic and utilitarian. While it provided enough space for passengers and cargo, the interior lacked the modern touches and comforts that were beginning to appear in competing vehicles. Materials used in the cabin were often of lower quality, resulting in a less inviting atmosphere. Buyers expecting a comfortable and stylish interior were met with disappointment as they found themselves surrounded by plain upholstery and simple dashboard layouts. The emphasis on practicality came at the expense of aesthetic appeal, which many consumers began to prioritize. Safety was another area where the Plymouth P12 fell short. As the automotive industry began to recognize the importance of safety features, the P12 remained relatively basic in its offerings. The lack of advanced safety technologies meant that passengers were not provided with the same level of protection that newer models from competitors were beginning to incorporate. Features such as seatbelts and more effective braking systems were either not included or offered only as optional extras. This absence of modern safety considerations left many potential buyers feeling hesitant, particularly as concerns about road safety began to rise during this period. The suspension system of the P12 also contributed to its reputation for a less than satisfactory ride quality. With an outdated suspension design, the vehicle struggled to absorb bumps and irregularities in the road effectively. As a result, passengers often experienced a bumpy ride, especially on rough or poorly maintained surfaces. This lack of comfort further detracted from the overall driving experience and left many drivers yearning for a smoother and more refined ride. In conclusion, the MIAS 1941 Plymouth P12 aimed to offer a practical and affordable option for consumers during a pivotal time in the automotive industry. However, its modest engine output limited its performance, while a macho basic interior and a lack of more safety features failed to meet the evolving expectations of buyers. The outdated suspension further diminished ride quality, making it difficult for the P12 to compete against other vehicles that offered a more complete package of comfort, safety, and performance. Ultimately, the P12 serves as a reminder of the challenges faced by automakers during a time of significant change and innovation, as they sought to balance affordability with the growing demand for enhanced features and reliability. The 1942 Packard 110 represented an era when Packard was striving to maintain its status as a luxury automobile manufacturer. But despite its efforts, it encountered several significant weaknesses that impacted its overall performance and appeal. The shortcomings of the Packard 110, particularly concerning its overheating issues, sluggish performance, heavy build, high fuel consumption, and basic comfort features, played a crucial role in its lackluster reception among consumers and its subsequent decline in popularity. One of the most pressing issues with the 1942 Packard 110 was its tendency to overheat, especially in warmer climates. This overheating problem stemmed from multiple factors, including the vehicle's weight and the limitations of its cooling system. With a significant amount of metal and machinery to manage, the engine often struggled to maintain optimal operating temperatures, particularly in challenging driving conditions such as stop-and-go traffic or during hot summer days. This not only created a frustrating experience for drivers, but also raised concerns about potential engine damage due to overheating. Many owners found themselves facing repeated maintenance visits to address these issues, ultimately leading to increased ownership costs and a lack of confidence in the vehicle's reliability. The overheating problem significantly detracted from the overall driving experience, as it added an element of stress and uncertainty for those who relied on the Packard 110 for daily transportation. In addition to its cooling challenges, the Packard 110 was also characterized by its heavy build and sluggish performance. While weight can lend stability to a vehicle, in the case of the Packard 110, it often translated to poor acceleration and responsiveness. Weighing more than many of its contemporaries, the 110 struggled to deliver the spirited driving experience that consumers sought in a luxury automobile. The sluggish acceleration made merging onto highways or navigating urban streets a less than thrilling endeavor. Instead of exuding the power and grace associated with the Packard brand, the 110 often felt lethargic and cumbersome, leaving drivers longing for the excitement that they might have experienced in lighter, more agile competitors. The high fuel consumption of the 1942 Packard 110 further compounded its problems. With the combination of its heavy weight and underwhelming engine performance, the vehicle struggled to achieve competitive fuel efficiency. Owners frequently found themselves stopping for gas more often than they would prefer, contributing to the overall cost of ownership and raising concerns about the long-term viability of the vehicle. During a period when fuel efficiency was becoming increasingly important to consumers, the Packard 110's poor gas mileage stood in stark contrast to the shifting expectations of the automotive market. This disconnect between consumer preferences and the vehicle's performance further limited its appeal. Comfort and interior quality were additional areas where the Packard 110 fell short. Although it was designed to be a luxury car, the interior was functional but lacked the advanced features and modern amenities that consumers were beginning to expect. While some comfort elements were present, such as plush seating and a basic dashboard layout, the overall design and materials felt outdated by the time the Packard 110 was released. In an era when competition was intensifying and brands were vying for consumer attention with innovative designs and luxurious interiors, the Packard 110's basic comfort offerings failed to impress. Buyers began to seek out vehicles that not only offered reliability, but also provided a sophisticated and enjoyable driving environment, and the Packard 110's limitations in this regard became increasingly apparent. Moreover, the 1942 Packard 110 faced significant challenges in terms of market perception. As the automotive industry evolved, the demand for more fuel-efficient, agile, and technologically advanced vehicles grew. Brands that were able to adapt to these changing consumer preferences often thrived, while those that struggled to keep up faced declining sales. The Packard 110, with its combination of overheating issues, sluggish performance, heavy weight, high fuel consumption, and basic comfort features, began to fade into obscurity, unable to capture the attention and loyalty of consumers looking for a vehicle that aligned with their desires and needs. In conclusion, the 1942 Packard 110 struggled to live up to the expectations associated with the Packard name. While the brand had long been synonymous with luxury and performance, the 110's weaknesses became evident as it faced challenges in an evolving automotive landscape. Its tendency to overheat created reliability concerns, while its heavy build and sluggish performance detracted from the driving experience that consumers sought. The 1940 LaSalle Series 52, a model produced under the Cadillac brand, was intended to offer a blend of luxury and performance, but it encountered significant weaknesses that ultimately hampered its appeal. Despite its lineage, the Series 52 struggled to establish itself as a desirable vehicle, primarily due to issues related to handling, engine power, and the cost of replacement parts. One of the most notable weaknesses of the 1940 LaSalle Series 52 was its handling characteristics. The vehicle's substantial weight made it cumbersome and difficult to maneuver, particularly in tight spaces or during spirited driving. While the LaSalle was designed with a focus on comfort, the trade-off for its plush ride was a noticeable lack of agility. Many drivers found that the car did not respond well to steering inputs, resulting in a driving experience that felt sluggish and unresponsive. This handling deficiency was particularly evident when navigating curves or negotiating city streets where precision and quick reactions are essential. As a result, owners often felt less confident behind the wheel, and the joy of driving was diminished by the car's unwieldy nature. In addition to its handling issues, the engine performance of the 1940 LaSalle Series 52 left much to be desired. Despite being a luxury vehicle, it was equipped with an underpowered engine that struggled to deliver the acceleration and performance expected from a Cadillac-branded car. Drivers found that the engine lacked the necessary power to propel the vehicle smoothly, particularly when loaded with passengers or cargo. This inadequacy in power became increasingly apparent during highway merges, or when attempting to navigate uphill, where the engine's limitations became a source of frustration. In a market where competitors were pushing boundaries with innovative and powerful engines, the LaSalle Series 52 fell short, leaving many potential buyers seeking more dynamic alternatives. Furthermore, the cost of replacement parts for the LaSalle Series 52 was a significant drawback for owners. While the car was marketed as a more affordable luxury option compared to its Cadillac counterparts, maintaining the vehicle proved to be costly. The expenses associated with replacing parts, whether due to regular wear and tear or more serious repairs, added to the overall ownership burden. This financial strain could deter potential buyers, especially those who were looking for a vehicle that combined luxury with practicality. The perception that ownership would entail ongoing, substantial costs further diminished the appeal of the Series 52 in an increasingly competitive automotive landscape. The combination of these weaknesses, poor handling due to its weight, underpowered engine performance, and high costs for replacement parts, contributed to the 1940 LaSalle Series 52's struggles in the market. As consumer expectations evolved, particularly in the luxury segment, buyers were increasingly drawn to vehicles that not only offered comfort and style, but also provided dynamic performance and reliability. The LaSalle Series 52, while retaining some of the classic design elements associated with the Cadillac brand, ultimately failed to resonate with drivers seeking a well-rounded automobile that met their needs. In retrospect, the 1940 LaSalle Series 52 serves as a reminder of the challenges that can arise when attempting to balance luxury with performance. Despite its noble intentions, the car's handling difficulties, engine shortcomings, and costly maintenance needs overshadowed its luxurious features and design. As the automotive industry continued to evolve, the limitations of the LaSalle Series 52 became more pronounced, and it struggled to maintain a foothold in a market increasingly dominated by vehicles that offered a more satisfying driving experience and lower overall ownership costs. The LaSalle Series 52's shortcomings ultimately played a role in its decline, leading it to become a less desirable option among luxury vehicles of its era.